Welcome back to Two Show Day. I have a very special guest for Hot Takes today. Back by popular demand is Jeremiah Booker.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good.
That's a good way to start off this episode.
Yeah.
So you and I this weekend had a real two-show day. We went to the city and we saw two shows currently running on Broadway. We saw Operation Mincemeat and Dead Outlaw. And so we thought it would be fun if we dissected our two-show day on Two-Show Day.
Yes.
So here we are.
Oh, was I supposed to say something? Or are we supposed to like banter back and forth?
Yeah, generally.
Okay. Is that how you go?
Yeah.
I thought I could get through just by staring at you the whole time,
Or
saying
we
a
could do
word
that.
or two.
We all just talk about it, and people will just look at your cute face, and that'll be good.
That is super romantic, you guys.
Yeah.
Just
People will love looking at me through Spotify.
every response that Jeremiah has to a question. I'm sorry, I was lost in your eyes. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah.
That's not what he was thinking, but that's sweet. All right, so the first show, we saw was Operation Mincemeat.
Yep.
Which is based on a real British MI5 operation during World War II called Operation Mincemeat, and sort of the idea was that the Nazis were occupying Sicily. And the British wanted to invade, so they made up this plan to get the Nazis to go over to Sardinia to free up Sicily so that the British could go through that way. So the whole plan is that there's sort of two agents, I guess. One is a little bit more shy and clumsy, and one is all about the spotlight. And then the shy one has the plan, and the plan is that they're going to find a corpse and sort of abandon him with a briefcase full of fake plans off the coast of Spain for the Nazis to find, so that they think those are the real plans to go to Sardinia.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the basic plot of Operation Mincemeat. So this is a recent transfer from the London production where it was hugely successful. I was looking at the Wikipedia, it had like over 60 5-star reviews there. So it's known as the best reviewed show in West End history. It's very British. Obviously, it's called Operation Mincemeat. But my favorite part about the show is there's only 5 actors in the show, and 3 of those actors also wrote the show, score and book, and they're acting their hearts out. And there's a 4th person that wrote the show too, but they are not in the show. They're credited with the book and the score. So yeah, that's why I wanted to see this. It has, I knew that it had all this acclaim in London, and it is an original musical. It's based on this real life thing that happened, but there's no existing, it's an original idea. It's not based on a movie or anything like that. So yeah, what were your thoughts going into it? Basically what happens is I buy tickets and Jeremiah comes with me.
Exactly.
And you have no idea what happens. So what were your expectations going in, and then what did you think of the show?
My expectations going into it were it being like a comedy first and a musical second. And I thought there was going to be a lot of like quick snippy moments and slapstick and Monty Python essentially is what I was expecting going into it. But what I got out of it was a lot actually, between like the music having some really, really nice parts in Act 1. The song Dear Bill really, really resonates with me still. That was quite a good one. And then just like the crazy breakneck pace of Act 2, offsetting that was really cool. I thought it was just going to be more or less, not one note, but funny, but also like in a serious matter the whole way through.
Right.
But the jokes were, they were tasteful, and some of them, they were making some jokes about like modern day times as well, which I appreciate. Yeah. Something that I didn't expect to get out of that though was the idea of legacy and what you leave behind. Yes. The course that they had used, as you find out when you watch through it. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but it's a person of no renown essentially, and of course that person didn't know he was going to go on and save so many thousands of lives. Right. Through this, but nevertheless, he did. Right. And that resonates with me, that there's things that we leave behind, and sometimes we're not alive to see them. So
that gets into our next show as well.
Yep.
So I really enjoyed this show. I did think, it definitely picked up in the second act for me. We were talking about this truly one of the highlights of the not the whole highlight of the show, but the Act 2 opener, which I talk about a lot. The Act 2 opener of any show, you has to be good enough to be in the musical, but it's also what I call the pee break song. It can't move the story along because people might still be in the bathroom or getting a drink or have some sort of seating hold for the top of Act 2.
Yeah.
So it can't be something that's, that pushes the story along, right? Like Seasons of Love is a great example of an Act 2 opener. Incredible, iconic song, the most famous song from Ren, doesn't move the story along.
Yeah.
So the the one in Operation Mincemeat is called, this is why I brought the playbook with me, Das Übermensch. And it's the only time in the musical that we hear from the Nazis. And it's just one song. It doesn't move the story along, but it's like this, like, I don't even know what, it's like this sort of electronica, like, how would you describe it?
It's like a dance, like not disco. I'm so old, like rave music almost. I remember like right as the song was ending and we were clapping, I like leaned over to you and I was like, that went hard as fuck.
Yeah, it really did. And like they have the lyrics throughout are so clever, but they have this line about step to the left or goose step to the left, then step to the far right. And things like that in it. And then, so they have the sun. It's quite good. Everybody claps. And then someone comes out in their regular costume and they go, really?
Yeah.
Really, you guys? So funny. And I wrote down another lyric that I thought was great. This comes at the end of the musical, and the song is called A Glitzy Finale. It has that sort of like self-referential humor to it.
Yeah.
And this lyric comes from a character who she starts off the musical as sort of like a secretary in training, but then she gets into the operation and becomes really instrumental in it. And so people are always asking her like to go get the tea and things like that. So her lyric at the end of the show is, now that I've proved I'll fight for my nation, I'm here with a clear declaration. We're saving the day, so keep your Earl Grey, 'cause Sarge, you're in charge of your own hydration.
Wow.
Which is like Hamilton level wordplay in here.
Yeah.
And like that, if you listen to the cast recording, that's there throughout. And I just have such a soft spot for shows that are sort of like fringe festival-y like that. Like all of the actors are moving all of the set pieces throughout the whole show, and like big set pieces, like big stairs and desks and all of that. And they are just working their asses off the whole show, and delivering something that is really varied. Like it's funny and it has these fast wordplay moments in it, but it also has these really gorgeous songs in it, like Dear Bill, which is about they're trying to forge documents for this this fake soldier that they're inventing, and one of them is a letter from his beloved. But it becomes clear that the person who is dictating this letter has sort of been through this sort of loss before, and it's like so beautiful and genuine and really, really gorgeous. And I don't know, I thought it was just a really wonderful time. It's what you want out of a musical and has those, musically elements, but it just also has this feel of like, come on gang, let's put on a musical. And I thought it was really good.
I really like that. I also like the fact that the 3 out of the 4 people that wrote it were in it, like you were mentioning, just because like that way they're able to keep that artistic vision that they wanted, they had in mind. They know how the characters are going to act, and I know that's what a director does too.
Right.
But it's so cool to see somebody like not only write it but also perform it, and when they come over, there's no compromises made on the subject matter. Like it's very British, and it maintains that identity. It doesn't lose any part of itself by coming over here.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
Is great.
There was big conversation about that, and we were talking about this, but they made no changes to the show when it came over here. People were worried about, will a British show do well here? But I think it is. The theater was really full, and they've extended over and over and over again. They were supposed to just play 16 weeks, but now they're playing almost a year. They'll go through next February, at least right now. So, I think it's doing well. Something else I really liked about it is this, there's only 5 actors, so they all play multiple characters. They each sort of have like a main character that they come back to, but they throw on a hat or throw on a jacket or whatever, and there's somebody else for that scene. And it has sort of this great theatrical tradition of like cross-dressing or someone playing a different gender than themselves. And I think, and it was really important, like I talk about things like haha man in a dress humor all the time. And there's one brief moment of that, but the actor that plays the sort of main secretary woman, who is the one that sings Dear Bill, is a man and is dressed in just a dress shirt and pants the whole time. We don't have any of that, like, oh, look at that guy in a dress humor with that character. And so we get these really sincere moments. And one of the main agents, whose character is a man, is played by a woman. And you didn't even know she was a woman until I pointed it out at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So, and that's, you know, it's this way of building in gender parity without changing the historical characters. And I think, you know, they're able to, I don't know, it just felt organic to do it that way.
Yep.
And it felt like, so when you slip into another character, you can be whoever. And it's like, you know, you buy into it immediately.
Yeah, I certainly did.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I had no idea.
You didn't even know. Yeah. So,
which made it all the more funny after the fact that that character they were a goober.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, that parody, like you were saying, it really plays off really well.
Yeah, they're definitely kind of a douchebag, absolutely. And I would describe them as very Michael Scott.
Yes.
You know, they're bumbling and they want to succeed, but they're not about details. They're about big picture.
Exactly.
And yeah, they're not very polite to their friends or people who are helping them a lot of the time. And I think that actor being a woman sort of gave them permission to be like, to ask this second actor, like, for a cup of tea and, like, you know, do those sort of misogynistic things. And it doesn't feel as yucky, I think, as it would be a man doing it. So I thought that was really creative as well. Mm-hmm. And there's another actor who plays like the colonel, and that actor is a woman too. So you sort of have this woman in power, even though it wasn't actually a woman in power. And it's just like all these, maybe they thought about this, maybe they didn't. Maybe they were just like, you're the right person to play this. Or, you know, we only have 5 people. Somebody's got to play them. You're not in the rest of the scene, so you can be this person. But I think it has this really deep level of just, we all have to do this. We all own 20% of this show. So let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. That dynamic almost reminds me of Hamilton in a way too.
Yes.
With like who's portraying the people that are in power that were definitely not in power at the time.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. How it's, because it's like, I think I said this to you before. They could have done this with, okay, the 2 women will play the secretaries and then men will play everything else. But they made that choice to not do that. And had a really big impression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With me too.
Cool. Okay, so our second show that we saw that day was Dead Outlaw. So Dead Outlaw is also based on another true story about a real outlaw whose name was Elmer McCurdy, and he was not a very good outlaw.
No.
But he died in a shootout, and he sort of traveled all over the place, and he didn't have anybody to claim his body. So the coroner just shot him with some embalming fluid and arsenic, which apparently is a good preservative if you're already dead. And his body was just like tossed around to like freak shows and wax museums and all this stuff until he was found in a like prop warehouse in the 70s when the $6 million man was looking for props. So somebody found his body hanging up and like pulled on him, and they saw bone and they were like, oh my God, that's a dude. So this tells his story from his childhood into this like traveling circus basically that he was a part of. Yeah. So same question. What were your expectations going in, and what did you think?
I thought going into it was going to be like folky outlaw kind of style music. Mm-hmm. And I thought like the person, like the main, I guess, singer of the songs and whatnot was going to be Elmer himself. And it wasn't the case, which works quite well too. I don't know. Like my expectations of this one were, I think they were almost lower than what the show itself was. Okay. The show itself had so much energy to it, and the band was just remarkable. It felt almost like a concert. Sometimes. I didn't think it was going to be so musically involved as far as the people playing, like the band playing, and they were really interactive. So I quite like that one. I feel like I like that one a little bit more than Mincemeat. It's more of my music.
It's definitely more your thing. It was folky, but it's also had that sort of like outlaw country rock
Yeah.
sort of feel to it. The band is all on stage the whole time, and sort of the band leader is also the narrator of the show.
Yeah.
But like they're all involved. Sometimes they get like the musicians get props passed to them and they got to interact with the props, or at one point they all pull out guns on somebody too.
Yeah.
And the set itself is so cool. I have the Tony nominations in front of me. It was not nominated for scenic design, which I think is too bad, because it's all sort of takes place in like a boxcar on a train.
Yeah.
And so it's this little box and it like moves around, and they climb up on top of it, and it like slides all over the stage with the whole band in it. It's really cool. And sort of, I don't know if there's like a gimmick to this show, but the first half, Elmer is alive, and the second half, he's not. And the actor playing Elmer McCurdy, his name is Andrew Durand, is playing the body the whole time.
Yeah.
He is on the table for the autopsy, and then he is in a stand-up coffin, holding a gun, being on display with like his little like claw mummified hands. Just like totally still for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's intense.
It's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought at first when he was on the autopsy table that it was a wax doll, which was a play on, them thinking he was a wax doll. I felt like that would be clever, but no, it was just him.
Yeah.
It was remarkable. Like, oftentimes you want to look for like the chest rising and falling and stuff like that. And eyes twitching, hands moving, shuffling.
Right.
None of that.
I know. And I'm sure he was. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, the guy has to breathe. But,
Yeah.
like, maybe he was doing it in such a way, or his shirt was fitted in such a way that he could take shallow breaths or things like that. We ran into some friends while we were at the city.
Mm-hmm.
And they had said they saw an interview with him or something where he says, like, he's just eyes closed this whole time. And he sort of has this mental game he plays where he says, okay, this person is crossing the stage, so I know there's a loud moment coming up, so I can shift a little bit when the attention is not on me, and things like that. And the coffin is sort of tilted in such a way so that his knees don't lock up when he's standing there. And it's like, the more I think about it, the more impressive that part of the performance is.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So at first it's like he's just laying there.
Right.
As somebody that's not
Right.
an actor by any means. It's like, how hard can that be? But to stay that still and to have your hands flexed like that and
Right.
your eyes solidly shut.
Right, and to just trust everybody else on stage and trust the people moving you and moving around you, that everyone is going to do it safely, because, there's that, if you're in a scene with somebody, acting with somebody in a scene, and they skip a line or drop a prop or something, you can react to it, you can work it into the scene. He can't.
Right.
He is in that box, and, that's all he can do is that, right?
Yeah.
So
I thought something that was cool in that one was, I forget what the song was that they were playing. I guess it doesn't matter. But there's a scene where his character is quite emotional, and the band is playing, and, the music's getting louder and louder, and it's coming to the part where there's supposed to be a lot of crashes with the drum set.
yes.
And what he does in sync with the music is he takes a hi-hat and throws it on the ground.
Yes.
And that acts as the crash for the drum kit. It was so cool. And then after he had thrown it, he like keeps smashing on it. But as he's hitting it, he's keeping along with the tempo of the song, which is so cool to see.
Yeah, he's in this drunken rage, and he throws a hi-hat on the ground, and he takes off his boot, and he's like throwing the boot onto the hi-hat. Yeah, that was really cool. I think this score is by David Yazbek, who you don't know who he is, but he's done a lot of musical scores. He did The Band's Visit, Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, Tootsie, a whole bunch, and his scores really haven't resonated with me except for this one. And I think we'll talk about this a little bit more. We saw 6 shows in this Broadway season, and I think this is the strongest score this year. I think the songs stand alone from the musical. One thing I don't like about it is it was produced by Audible, and they are deciding to gatekeep the entire cast recording. Half of it is available on streaming services, but the full thing will only be available on Audible, which I think sucks. But
Bastards.
But it was recorded, I will note, in Dolby Atmos, so it sounds really great because Amazon has money. But I think the songs are so good, and they stand alone outside of the musical. I think you can listen to them one at a time, and you don't, there's not like that thing when you're listening to show tunes, how characters are like talking throughout. Like, there isn't that in here. Those songs are they stand alone.
Yeah,
So-
like you could have it on shuffle, right?
Correct.
And you're listening to a bunch of tunes, and that one kicks in.
Yeah.
And it's cool. You can listen to it.
Yes.
Sometimes while we're taking road trips or anything like that, we're listening to show tunes. A song will be going on from a musical I've never seen before, and I'm like, what in the hell is this?
Right.
But in that case, like it's just a rockabilly song, so
Yes.
it works.
Rockabilly. That's
The,
the correct word for this show. Yeah.
The second song in the musical is really good for that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
The Dead song?
Yes.
It's just called Dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah.
Love that song.
Yeah. That's a
So
great
good.
song. There's a song about it's sort of a strange one-off song. It's I think it's called Andy Payne, and it's about this man named Andy Payne who I think he was from Oklahoma, which is where Elmer McCurdy died, and there was this like contest where someone is organizing it, and then the organizer ends up getting custody of Elmer's body, which is why this is involved. But he's organizing this contest where you run across America, like Route 66 had just opened, so it's like this promotional thing. And so Andy Payne was just this random guy who needed to pay he was gonna like lose the farm or something, and the grand prize was $25,000. So in like 80 something days he ran across America and won this marathon. And then, like, he just took his money and he paid off his land, and then he ran for local office and did that for, like, 40 years and was just, like, this cool guy. But this actor's, like, actually running throughout this whole song.
Yeah. I thought that was
Wonderful.
crazy. Like,
Yeah.
as he's running and, like, actually running in place,
Yeah.
I was expecting to hear, like, a lot of, like, deep breaths in between some of the verses they were singing,
Yeah.
and he was
Not
cool
at
with
all.
it. Yeah.
Belting his ass off. Yeah.
Insane.
Or there's this one song where the coroner has this light hanging down when he's in the coroner scenes, and at one point he takes it and it's actually a microphone, and then he's singing this like Frank Sinatra style song about all the famous people that he's autopsied, which is like almost like, whoa, I can't believe you're singing about this, but it's also like very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, some of the songs just take such a big detour. I found
Yes.
myself saying, like, what is this doing here? But I, like, was enjoying the songs fully the whole time through.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Like, it's such a ridiculous thing that this person who was like kind of a nobody, like there's this one also really great song where he's talking about they're in Oklahoma, they're in Osage County, and so the history of Osage County is that the Native American people there were they retained their land rights or something to the oil, so they got lots of royalties based on this oil money. And so there's this train coming that has all their oil payments on it, and he's going to rob this train. And then the narrator gets there and he's like, that was the wrong train.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was not like Jesse James big. He was not
No.
very rich. He's only famous because of what happened to him after his death, which also deals with legacy, right?
Exactly.
At one point, he's sort of about to partner up with this other bank robber guy, and the guy says, you can decide if you want to be remembered or not. And they have this great piece of merch that I kind of regret not buying. And on the back, it says, get rich or try dying,
Yeah.
which is so good. Yeah. So those are the two shows we saw this weekend, Operation Mincemeat and Dead Outlaw. We have also seen this season Death Becomes Her, which I thought was great. Based on the movie, of course. It's very capital B Broadway musical.
Yeah.
This would be one of those shows where if someone came to me and were like, what should I see on Broadway? I was like, well, if you want big comedy, big sets, big costumes, special effects, two of the fine ladies of Broadway belting their faces off the whole
Yeah.
show, Death Becomes Her is for you. We also saw Maybe Happy Ending, which is, I believe, a completely original musical. It's not based on a true story or an existing IP.
I hope it's not based on a real story. Not yet. anyway.
Yeah, I hope not either.
Robots.
It's about two robots that fall in love. They're helper bots, so they're sort of like cyborg people. One of them is more is a later model than the other, so one of them is very like robot-y, and the other one just moves like a human. But that was very sweet. And we also saw two plays this season. We've seen Oh Mary, and we saw The Roommate, which The Roommate we saw because I wanted 90 minutes of Patti LuPone, and that's exactly what I got.
Yep.
So I wanted to ask you, what is your ranking of these 6 shows we saw this season, all of which got at least one Tony nomination?
From like which ones I enjoyed the most?
Yes, your personal preference.
From a joy. Okay, so I like things that are funny,
Yep.
but I also like nerdy thing, since I'm a nerd
Yep.
myself, might come as a surprise to some people. Maybe Happy Ending, I think, was probably the one I liked the most.
Okay.
Seconded to Dead Outlaw for the music alone in it. Following that, we'll do Operation Mincemeat. Oh Mary was hilarious. Love that one. Then we've got The Roommate. And lastly, Death Becomes Her.
Death Becomes Her at the end. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep telling Mike he needs to go see Oh Mary.
It's funny.
I sent Diana. Diana is not on TikTok, so don't try to find her there.
I'm not.
But I sent her a Cola Scola clip that I got on TikTok because she said Cola Scola near my phone. So now I get them. When our bosses came back from Oh Mary, they didn't quite know how to explain it. Like, they both enjoyed it, but they really were at a loss to explain it, which I think is just great. Like, that's my kind of Broadway jam.
Yeah, exactly. They've done, I remember reading an article or something that said they've done less than 0% research going into this. It's about Mary Todd Lincoln, and like even in the playbill, it's like Mary, and then it's like Mary's husband, Mary's teacher. All of the character names are revolved around Mary. So even Abraham Lincoln is just Mary's husband, which I think is very funny. Yeah. And the whole plot basically is that Mary Todd Lincoln wants to do a cabaret, and Abe thinks that's stupid, and he's trying to fight the Civil War. And he's like, the South is winning. And she says, the South of what? And it's just like, that's the energy of the show, which is great. And I really hope, I would love Cola Scola to win a Tony. I would love them to beat George Clooney in that category, which I think would be incredible.
Yeah. I agree.
But it's also up for Best Play. So
let me do a quick tie back to Dead Outlaw.
Yes.
There was for many years, there was a traveling body, much like you described, that was purported to be the body of John Wilkes Booth.
Oh, really?
It was ultimately debunked, but for like decades, this body of John Wilkes Booth made its way around the country to sideshows and things like that.
Interesting. Yeah, I think there's so much more history there than we know. I saw a Fringe Festival show years ago once called 13 Dead Dreams of Eugene, and similar thing. There was this body that I don't know who found it. Somebody found it, and it was on display like forever, trying to figure out who this person was. So I don't know. There's a lot of history there. My personal ranking of these shows, which changed since Jeremiah and I last talked about it, I'm going to put Mincemeat first, I think. I don't think it's going to win Best Musical. I don't know. Something tells me that it won't. But I would love it to. I think it's just a scrappy little show, and I have such appreciation for people that write something and then do it themselves.
Me too.
And just see it all the way through, and that, these people aren't famous. They're not big names. They just decided we're going to put this product together and make it the best it can be. And I really love that. And I'm not a Monty Python girl, and I don't think it's very Monty Python, but I did grow up with a lot of Mr. Bean. So I do have an appreciation for British comedy for sure. So Mincemeat first for me, then Death Becomes Her. Again, it's a capital B Broadway musical. It has pretty much everything you want when you're seeing a show like that. I decided it was a little bit too belty, and that's why I moved. It was number 1 for me for this season, but I moved it to number 2. Then I'm going to go Dead Outlaw. Then I'm going to go Oh Mary, maybe Happy Ending, then The Roommate, which The Roommate was not groundbreaking. Again, it was 90 minutes of Patty, and that's exactly what I wanted. So that's my ranking this year. I thought they were all great. I didn't think anything was bad. I'm very selective with what we go see in the city because tickets are expensive and all that. So if I'm I really try to be selective on, I'm pretty sure I know this is going to be good since we're going to spend $200 on this. And then I'm much more lenient with local, cheaper things. I'll go see whatever. So
yeah. If you had to guess which one would be the winner of this season for overall best.
So the best musical nominees this year are Buena Vista Social Club, which we did not see, and then Dead Outlaw, Death Becomes Her, maybe Happy Ending, and Operation Mincemeat. So Mike and I are gonna do another hot takes later that deep dives into Tony nomination. So I won't get too into it. So Tony nominators and Tony voters are two different groups of people, but they are also two different groups of people, right? We see this a lot with shows that get a lot of nominations and win almost nothing. Like I talk about the show all the time, but Natasha Pierre, The Great Comet of 1812, and SpongeBob won like scenic design, and that's it. Like,
They even give you free refreshments.
they did.
Yeah.
How can you hate a free pierogi? But each of them got like 10 or 12 nominations and won almost nothing. So just because something is highly nominated doesn't necessarily mean it's going to win. So hopefully, I hope that voters of anything, of Tonys, of Oscars, of whatever, have artistic content in their heart first. But I think sort of the more traditional structure experience you're going to have is more likely to win.
Yeah.
So I think my money is on Death Becomes Her because it has the choreography, it has the costumes, those kinds of things. But I think Dead Outlaw, I think should win Best Score, and I think Mincemeat should win Best Book of a
By
musical.
far.
It is
Yeah.
the snappiest, the smartest. Death Becomes Her was also funny, but a lot of those jokes are lifted from the movie. So Mincemeat had to create all those jokes themselves. And they took something that on paper is boring and turned it into a very funny, charismatic musical.
Yeah.
So, and I think maybe Happy Ending has the set design, tech kind of elements in its corner.
Does.
So that's kind of where I'm thinking for this. I would love Oh Mary to win everything it's nominated for because I think it's just the little show that it was off Broadway and then it made it to Broadway, and again it just keeps extending. I would love Cola Scola to win. Conrad Ricamora, who plays Mary's husband, is also up for a Tony, which would be hilarious if they won. It's also up for Best Play, but it's up against Best Play against like the Pulitzer winner this year. So again, I don't know if especially the play people, I don't know if they're gonna be like, this isn't a real play.
That's how they all talk, by the way.
That is how they all talk. Yeah, it's true. But some people are like, they want serious plays all the time, and you come in with your 80-minute farce about Mary Todd Lincoln.
That's an all vignettes the whole time.
Seriously, yeah, it's just like scenes. Yeah, so good. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yes, we will.
Yes, we will. You made a big splash on your last episode because you talked about video games and sort of other forms of art, which we welcome. We welcome all forms of art here. Is there anything that you are playing or diving into right now that you want to give a shout out to?
Like big art things I really like?
Yeah, or video games or books or whatever you're up to. Yeah.
Yeah. A big art thing that I've really been enjoying so far is a new album that's just released not too long ago. There's an artist called Bon Iver. If anybody likes sad acoustic wintry songs, they'll know who that is. He's had a lot of different genres that he's kind of dipped his toe into. It's a group of people, but Justin Vernon is more or less the guy behind the songwriting, and a couple of his friends. And a lot of the songs have always neared towards the edge of nostalgia and just like reflecting back on your life, things you could have done better. Good wintry songs. When you want to contemplate. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Anyhow, this new one, it starts off that same way. There's only there's two sides to the album. The first three songs on it are very reminiscent of those old songs. A lot of acoustic guitar, really slow tempo kind of songs, very heartfelt lyrics about just wanting to do better, but there's parts of your life that you can't quite make up for. You can only accept those things and move on. And regardless of those mistakes you made, every decision that you've made will always be there, and that experience that you've lived will always be there. From there, it leans into a much happier side, which is quite new for him. And it's perfect timing with spring rolling around for me to just see things on the brighter side and lean into the brighter side. And it's quite affected me. It's quite good. I'm trying to remember the name of the darn thing, which would be nice. But let's see. So
well, that's okay. Mike is our fact checker now.
Oh yes.
Bon Iver, B-O-N space.
I
know? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Come on. He's an American indie folk. No, that's not what we need.
Sable Fable.
It appears to be. This just says Fable.
Yes.
Is that?
So it's Sable, Fable. Sable is the first part of the album. That they released it earlier last year.
Oh, okay.
Fable is the newest part, but they're more or less meant to be listened to together.
Part 1, part 2.
Yeah,
of
you've
the
got
same album.
the darkness leading into into the light. And sable, I think, means like very dark, very black, very bleak, which is that first bit, that sadder part. Fable is that fable of, in the F is lowercase, so it's fable is a whole word, and it's like chasing that happiness that it might be hard to kind of see when you're in the dark, but you're able to. That's my interpretation of it. F is lowercase, all the rest of the letters are capital.
Oh.
So very artsy.
Fable.
Yeah,
Fable.
fable.
Yeah,
You gotta
that's
yell
how
it.
you say Yeah, exactly.
Yep, that's my art stuff.
Very nice. Well, thanks for coming back, Jeremiah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
How did you even book him? It's crazy.
Are you so busy? I don't even
Yeah,
know.
and all I do is play video games on my couch with Toby all day.
Toby.
Yeah,
Let's get Toby on the pod.
Yeah.
he might have more to say than me.
You'll just be like,
so-
that's my Toby impression.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now everybody will be able to enjoy that.
We're gonna do an offshoot of Two Show Day, which is just Two Show Day -ASMR.
Yeah.
It's gonna be me eating cookies
Yeah.
and Diana sniffing into the microphone.
That's what the people want.
Yeah,
obviously,
you know,
yeah.
broaden the audience. Why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Two Show Day is hosted by Diana Shabai Booker. It's executive produced by Diana and Collaborative Studios. It's produced and edited by me, Michael McCord. It's recorded at Open Stage Media Studios and distributed by Collaborative Studios. Any opinions expressed herein are not necessarily the opinions of Open Stage Media, Collaborative Studios, Proctor's Collaborative, or any of its affiliates or partners. If you would like to become a part of the Collaborative Studios network, please contact us at collaborativestudios@proctors.org.